Your passport. Why has Trudeau redone it to delete Terry Fox, who ran halfway across the country on one leg to fight cancer? Why did he delete the Vimy Memorial, which honors 3,598 soldiers who died? Why did he delete this beautiful war memorial, or even the Parliament buildings beyond it? Well, to answer that question, you need to get the country that Trudeau wants us to become.
The level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship. Admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship.
Or when he said, El Comandante Fidel Castro was a larger-than-life leader who served his people for almost half a century, a legendary revolutionary and orator. Like the leaders and regimes that Trudeau so admires, he's censoring what you can see and say, including his online censorship bill, a bill so controversial that even legendary liberal author Margaret Atwood had this warning. So does creeping totalitarianism if governments are telling creators what to create. But here's the problem for leaders that want to control everything. The only way to justify it is by promising a utopia. Now, utopia is a beautiful word, but in Greek it actually means no place. You cannot promise to take people to no place unless you start in no place. Put more simply, the only way you can redraw an entire country is to wipe away the existing painting so that you can draw on a blank slate. Or as Orwell said, the past was dead, the future was unimaginable. All that was needed was an unending series of victories over your own memory, reality control. So they knock down statues of our past leaders, they delete words, they delete achievements, they even delete our most wonderful and treasured heroes. Even Nellie McClung, who, along with the rest of the famous five, proved women were persons, got erased from Trudeau's passport, this by a so-called feminist prime minister. Our soldiers, our Mounties, our explorers, our champions all had to disappear. Why? Because they show that Canada is amazing, above and beyond its government. If Canada is already amazing, how could you justify having the state bend and twist it into something completely different, as he tries to do every single day? We can have no heroes, and our history must be portrayed as a wretched pile of injustices to justify remaking everything from scratch. Instead, our national story in this passport looks now more like Justin Trudeau's personal coloring book, filled with trivial little things like Canadians raking leaves or a squirrel eating a nut. The country must be made little so that his state can be made big. There can be no heroes from the past that get in the way of the man who appoints himself the hero of the future. The regimes that Trudeau admires portray the dear leader as the only hero that could ever be. But you and I both know that the real heroes are not on state billboards or state television. They're the common people, the folks who over centuries had to wrestle control over their lives from the crown and put it in the hands of commoners. Our democratic tradition goes back 800 years to the Magna Carta, when the common people forced King John to sign the Great Charter that brought in liberty under the law. And over those 800 years, through fits and starts and many flaws, we've evolved closer and closer to a more democratic place where the people are in charge. That is a precious inheritance. It may be 800 years long, but it's only one generation deep. And if this generation, the living generation, fails to pass on what we inherited from those who came before to those that come after, then it could be lost forever. That's why it's so important to keep our common stories, our common symbols, and most importantly, our common sense. A passport is known for taking us abroad, but sometimes the most important thing, especially when it comes to our traditions and freedom, is to bring it home.